welcome to my vlog. In today's vlog, I'm going to be discussing the most important thing which immigrants think about when they are planning to come to Canada, or they are thinking about immigrating to Canada, is the cost of living in Canada. Cost of living in Toronto, especially in the greater Toronto area, is it's one of the most expensive places in Canada, and Toronto is one of the most expensive cities in the whole world. So it is absolutely important that you understand the cost of living here and plan accordingly. So I have divided this into three categories. That is, when a new immigrant comes in, he or she lives in a basement, and then they move on to an apartment where probably they own a car as well, and then they eventually own their own place, like a condominium or a house which they purchase for themselves. The cost of living basically varies in each of these three categories, and I'm going to explain, or I'm going to walk you through all the numbers for each of these three categories, and also tell you what is the actual income you need to make in each of this category. If you're a single income versus dual income, the numbers actually differ. I have made sure that I include tax calculations, I include EI/CPP to actually let you guys know exactly how much is the final dollar number you need to make pre-tax. That is, when you're negotiating a salary, you exactly know like how much I'm going to be making at the end of the day, and how much will be my cost of living, and how much I can save. So this video is actually going to get you through those numbers. So without wasting further time, let's get on to those numbers.
So jumping onto the cost of living in Toronto, I have divided this into three categories. You have basement, you have renting an apartment, and buying your own house in GTA. $650,000 is the average price with 10% down payment. The reason I have basement as a category is because that's where most of the new immigrants would come in and would start living in to keep their expenses to the minimum. So in terms of basement, my target over here is to come up with the basic or minimum cost which you require to live in Toronto, so that you can make your arrangements from your home country accordingly. So jumping onto the cost, the main cost over here is rent or mortgage. In a basement, you can expect to pay around $1,500 for a one-bedroom basement. Sometimes it can go a little lesser depending on the area, but on an average you can say that the cost is $1,500 per month. When you're renting an apartment, you can expect to pay around $2,200. When you're buying your own house, let's say with 650K, and you put in 10% down payment, which is 65,000, the mortgage will come around $2,565. Now keep in mind that this is totally dependent on the interest rates which are ongoing at the time you buy, and also the price of the house is increasing day by day in GTA, so even that can fluctuate a lot. And also in terms of down payment, if you come up with only 5%, then your monthly payments are going to be much higher. So this number over here can change a lot. The second expense is property tax. Again, you don't face this expense if you're living in a basement or you're renting an apartment. However, if you live in your own house, you pay around $370 to the city as property taxes. Then comes home insurance. Again, you don't face this expense if you're living in a basement or you're renting an apartment. You would pay around $60 if you are you're living in your own house. Then hydro, again, you don't pay this because it's included in the basement. While renting an apartment, you pay around $40 a month, and if you're buying your own house, you pay around $85 a month. Coming to heat and gas, again, this is included in the basement. While renting an apartment as well, this is mostly included. That is, the heat and gas is included, and in your own house, you have to pay around $100 a month. Water tank rental, this is again included in the basement. While renting an apartment, also this is pretty much included. In your own house, you pay around $30 a month. For car, let's say you buy a $25,000 car, average price on a 7-year financing, and I assumed over here that in basement you would not be owning a car because you want to keep your expenses to the minimum. While renting an apartment, you would probably own a car. You spend around $280 as a car monthly payment on 7-year financing. Now, car insurance plus fuel, again, if you don't own a car, you would not be paying that in the basement. While renting an apartment, if you own a car, you would pay around $450, so $300 for insurance and $150 for fuel, and the same expense, that is $450, while you live in your own house. Groceries, it's $100 a week for two people. In basement, you would be paying, these expenses common across all the sections, so it's $450 a month. Internet, this is included in the basement mostly. $55 is the average cost of internet per month. Cell phone for two people is $100 a month. Eating out once a week, again, whether you live in a basement or you rent if you're renting an apartment or you're buying your own house or whatever, you can expect to spend around $150 at least a month to eat out, otherwise you will get totally bored. Netflix subscription, $17 a month. And then TTC Go Transit for two people if you are commuting to work or anything else. If you take a monthly pass, you would be spending $300 for two people. If you're living in suburbs and you use Go Transit to commute to work, you would be spending $560 a month. Again, if you're working from home, this expense can be completely avoided. So the total post-tax income comes to $2,500 if you're living in a basement, $4,000 if you're living in an apartment, and $5,272 if you're living in your own house. This is the post-tax income for living paycheck to paycheck. So the annual post-tax income needed is $30,000 in a basement, $48,000 in an apartment, and $63,000 if you're living in your own house. If I gross it up, and if I talk in terms of salary, that is salary before taxes, and that is only single income, then you would need $37,000 if you're living in a basement. If you're renting an apartment, you need $64,000, and if you are living in your own house, you'll need $90,000. Now, this doesn't assume any additional expense, and this is purely paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes this won't be even enough for most of the times this won't be enough, but this is like the bare minimum amount you need. And let's say that if you're two people earning equal amount of salary, then you would need $20,000 if you're living in a basement. If you're renting an apartment, you require $31,000, and if you're living in your own house, you require $42,000. So talking about some other expenses, basically the other annual expenses you would face if you're living in a basement apartment and your own house. So for example, in basement, let's say for shopping, this includes all your shopping, that is Amazon shopping, any other shopping like buying clothes. You have to at least allocate $3,000 a month. And for vacations, let's say you're going to India or any other place, it would be $5,000 a month. Then you need to have some savings, which would be $12,000 a month. This could be more as well, depending on what you want to do. RSP contribution, you need to allocate $8,000 a month. And in this way, you would need at least $28,000 every year. Again, now this is for comfortable living with savings and everything. So the revised post-tax income needed would be $58,000 if you're living in a basement, $76,000 if you're living in an apartment. If you're buying your own house, you require $91,000. This is the post-tax income. Salary required on single income, considering RRSP savings, is $75,000 in a basement, $102,000 in an apartment, $127,000 if you're living in your own house. If you're dual income, then salary per person with RRSP contribution for each person, it will be $39,000 per month on basement, $39,000 per annum in a basement, $52,000 per person if you're living in an apartment, and $63,000 per person if you're living in a house. In a house. So from this, we can say that as a family, you need to make at least $100 to $150,000, $120 to $150,000 at least to live a comfortable living. If you have, so yeah, this is something you need to keep in mind if when you're coming to Canada. That is what kind of profession you are in and how much income you can make. That is going to determine a lot of things. So, you know, if you have any questions and if you want to me to make videos on any other topic, please leave comments, and please do subscribe to my channel. I have another video in which I talk about my 10-year experience in Canada. I would be making more videos. Please do leave comments, and please definitely subscribe to my channel. Thank you.